My name is Alan Springer, Solutions Barbados candidate for St. Michael's South Central. In delivering this proposal for the creative industries in Barbados, let me first make reference to the CSEC and Cape Performance Arts Conference, which was held at UWI on April 4th to 6, 2016. Then, I had the privilege to deliver a paper to delegates from across the Caribbean titled "This Business of Art," and which marked the beginning of this journey of thinking through the creative arts in Barbados. Much of what I say now is not new, therefore. It is 2 years since I first wrote that paper. This just forms some meat on those bones. In 2013, the British Council produced a report entitled "The Economic Impact of the Creative Industries in the Americas." It had this to say: the creative and cultural industries constitute one of the fastest growing sectors globally. The sector is forecast to play a bigger role in coming years. If the countries of the Americas are to achieve a balanced, high-growth economy, it is vital that the key strengths of individuals and businesses in the creative sector are nurtured. I believe that in order to make this potential for growth a reality, 4 key things are necessary. Projects should be sustainable and scalable, saleable, and finally, profitable. If not any, or preferably all of these, at best industries stagnate. At worst, they die. Since the creative industries in Barbados is an industry like any other, we must ask ourselves how well we meet this criteria. But certainly, the absence of a political will to see this through has held us back. Conspicuous by its absence when we talk about economies is the lack of value placed on the orange economy. In that sense, government, as a validating elite, laboring under what I call a paralysis of vision, have failed the arts of Barbados. No doubt about that. In 2015, the dollar worth of the arts and cultural industries to the US economy was 10% of GDP. In monetary terms, that's equal to approximately $704.2 billion US dollars annually. As a comparison, the entire manufacturing industry in the US is worth approximately 11% of GDP. Can you imagine a creative industry that produces almost as much wealth as the whole of the manufacturing industry in a country with a manufacturing base as huge as America? When it comes to the UK, the Arts Council budget in England for the years 2015 through to 2020 was set at an estimated £8 billion. That's approximately 20 billion Barbados dollars. With a projected 50-50 funding to sales ratio, this means an expected turnover of £16 billion or 40 billion Barbados dollars. What's more, and this is vitally important, a high proportion of earned income is destined for the pockets of the artists and their associates, rather than back into the hands of the funders. Here in Barbados, the first need is for artists to begin to earn money from their creative work. It's that simple. It is not a hobby and must no longer be treated as such. It is work, labor, for which there must be an opportunity for earnings, and it is down to government to assist in creating those opportunities. We will not fail in doing so. It could be argued that both the US and the UK are macro, creative and cultural environments. But it should be possible to replicate the same kind of economic climate on a smaller scale in these 166 square miles. I believe that with the right infrastructure, the right education and the right training, we can achieve this objective. We aim to bring a deeper sense of entrepreneurship to the creative industries, a term which in its broadest possible sense includes the following sectors: advertising, arts and craft, audiovisual, design, entertainment software, and that includes video games, fashion, film and photography, music, performing arts and theatre, publishing, and visual arts. Given this broad scope, here in Barbados, we have created something of an anomaly. We have embedded this hotbed of creative activity into what we call the cultural industries, while conversely, others across the world tend to embed cultural heritage into the greater scope of creative industries. The first step is to turn that anomaly around. As you can see from the above sectors, the creative industries is a far greater undertaking in terms of size and volume than is cultural activity, or it should be, because it is from creative industries that we make money, more so than from cultural heritage. This is because culture is more to do with what we consume, whereas on the other hand, the arts are mostly concerned with what we produce. Consumption is not saleable, production is. In our current model, the creative industries in Barbados is one of undervalue and commercial underachievement. It is time we view it as a viable and vibrant economic opportunity. We must now do the investigation, identification, and implementation of changes to infrastructure that creates entrepreneurial champions out of our creative artists. We must not be left behind, but instead play a part and reap some of the benefits of the growing value of the creative industries in the Americas. I am putting forward a 12-point plan. Our solution to developing the creative industries as an important contributor to the Barbados economy in the short, medium, and long term. First, let us look at visual arts. Project Pelican. Pelican Village has been left to become something of a ghost town, and it is in vital need of regeneration. We will work with artists to develop and implement a plan to make this happen, profiling the area as a customer-friendly, well-presented space for the visual arts. We will create a pedestrianised walkway from the nearby cruise terminal as a mecca for shopping, developing a strategy for the workshops at the back, and creating an outdoor space for platform performances. We will work with the tourism industry to make sure Pelican Village becomes a genuine village and one of our leading tourist attractions, given its proximity to the cruise ship terminal and its passing traffic. Performance art. The time has come for performance artists in Barbados to have a national theatre. The aim here is to create a Friends of Barbados from the many wealthy philanthropists who frequent these shows, and to solicit their help in planning and funding the National Theatre project, with clear incentives for their sponsorship. The purpose of a national theatre would be to provide professional training and a regular professional theatre experience for both artists and audience, to be a provider of professional productions able to export our theatre product, and at the same time to be a professional venue able to facilitate the productions of international touring companies to enhance the theatre experience of Barbadians, profiling Barbados as a provider and facilitator of top-class theatre entertainment. Music, rediscovering spooge. Jamaica is known internationally for its reggae music, adding much-needed revenue to the Jamaican economy. Trinidad too is equally popular for its soca, played at dance halls and festivals worldwide with internationally known artists. We will put a plan in place to rediscover spooge with an island-wide spooge competition aimed at profiling the winners internationally and positioning spooge as a commercial music genre. We will invite a panel of homegrown and international guest judges. This will all be filmed for television production and worldwide sales in similar format to shows like X Factor and American Idol. Film and photography. We have a burgeoning film industry in Barbados. In 2015, the Barbados Film and Digital Media Commission was established by government to facilitate on-location film productions across the island. And please remember, everything I say about film is intended to include photography. We will build on this by supporting the continued development of our fast-growing film industry, as well as marketing the beauty of our island as an ideal film location for international film companies. On paper, we are supposed to clear all types of equipment and materials needed for filming, free of duties, free of bonds, and free of other charges, and arrange speedy immigration clearance for visiting film crews. We will ensure that this becomes a reality for our visitors. When it comes to our in-house film industry, we will ensure the Commission is sufficiently competent to act as a sounding board for producers from funding through to post-production, screening, and export to global markets. Recognizing that film is a high-cost environment, we will work towards the provision of a bank of equipment and hardware available to producers at affordable rental prices, and look at other cost-cutting opportunities post-production. And remember, the film industry in Africa, Nigeria and Ghana in particular, is growing at an exciting rate. We will reach out to filmmakers on the African continent and set up links for collaborative work. Our newly formed development bank will also be at hand to give financial assistance to worthwhile projects with a clear vision for export. Fashion. Firstly, we want to see an industry developed around the production of our own raw materials. We already have a valuable local resource such as shell, coconut, black belly sheep leather, and the world-renowned Barbados Sea Island cotton. Fashion designers will be encouraged to grow contiguous business whereby they produce or partner in the production of the raw material for their clothing lines. This will include expanding our agricultural and farming base with government support for this expansion. We already have a plan in place for support to the agricultural sector. This will be expanded to include any necessary service to agricultural fashion enterprise. We will build on the work of CIDA, especially in the areas of promoting Barbadian products and services worldwide, introducing our unique raw materials to international consumers and buyers, establishing regional and global links and a network of trade relationships, facilitating good practice in our fashion industry and its service providers, provision of financial support to fledgling designers and fashion producers to participate in BMX, with training for models to a professional standard to showcase our fashions in the best possible light. Let's look at cultural industries, crop over and heritage. One of our greatest tourist attractions, crop over, is rightly positioned as a cultural festival, but needs a remodeling so that carnival arts play a more essential part of the festival and a greater source of revenue. As well as focusing more on our arts and crafts, this will entail a deeper approach to mass costumery, away from the sequins and the bikinis. When it comes to heritage, we will put a stop to the destruction and the disrepair of key heritage sites across the island, and we will upgrade and reprofile key installations such as the Barbados Museum. Infrastructure. Let's look at the work of the NCF. Now, the NCF has over the years done a praiseworthy job in preserving Barbados as a cultural entity. But we must now revisit the role of the NCF as an arts facilitator, home and abroad, seeking out local and international opportunities for performance arts and artists, and providing appropriate training, more than just a cultural provider and producer. We will work towards having NCF placements in the US and UK who actively seek out opportunities for our artists. With the regeneration of Pelican Village, Arts Council will have a greater responsibility in managing the new resource and working closely with tourism to ensure it is all profitable. Let's look at training. We want to create a Youth into Arts certificate. This will be a new national apprenticeship art certificate which will be offered to tertiary level students, providing professional training and experience by the National Theatre and the NCF for performance art and by the Arts Council and the NCF for the visual arts. Infrastructure will work to seek out international internships as part of the certificate so that our youngsters gain a broader experience of the arts and gain from the benefit of travel. Now we need to look at legislation. We will review the Cultural Industries Development Bill, which was presented in 2013 and ratified in 2015, to create a sensible summary and a more practical working document alongside our own plan initiatives. We will develop and implement a holistic plan to provide export opportunities for Barbadian arts, whereby the plan is not to export our artists, but instead to export their work, so that the creative industries make a valuable contribution to the national economy. We plan to improve standards on professionalism across the creative industries by introducing the ISO 9001 standard. We will work to ensure an international quality management standard is embraced and practiced across all areas of the creative industries. Now that ends our 12-point plan for the arts. In the arts, what has happened is a seeming supply of unlimited labour has dulled the will to transform that labour into a force for economic growth. And in the past, for example, education stakeholders have expressed concern over the lack of employment opportunities for theatre arts graduates within theatre in Barbados. We've conspired to take every human dignity away from the creative industries labour force with the absence of a functioning creative arts industry and a facilitating infrastructure. But it needn't be so. We can change this by educating youngsters from the beginning, not just with the necessary art skills, but also with the vision and the right environment to create opportunities for themselves through developing an enterprise culture for the arts. So there are implications for education as well. Recently, Totally Barbados had this to say about developments in dance especially. We have started to see sprouting up here and there dance companies that are not geared towards teaching, but more towards professional performances. The people involved in these companies have been trained overseas in dance, and many of them have performed at various international stages. These companies organize, choreograph, and perform shows for all sorts of functions, from business to performing for guests in various hotels and apartments island-wide. Now, this signals the start of something, but it must not stop at being simply island-wide. There needs to be a deeper active relationship between the political and arts infrastructure and the artists themselves, whereby it is made possible to provide greater opportunities beyond these shores. This calls for a rethink from the highest level all the way into the classroom, so that art is no longer just something that we do to inform our culture, but it is envisioned as an industry that plays an important role in the island economy. It is possible. My university qualifications are BA Honours in Combined Arts, Master of Business Administration, MBA, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, PGCE, and I have a Professional Certificate in TIE, that's Theatre in Education. I am confident in saying that I have the skill set and the mindset, the expertise and the experience, and with your support, will deliver this plan on behalf of creative artists and the citizens of Barbados as a whole. My name is Alan Springer, candidate for St. Michael's South Central. I am deeply honoured for you to consider me as your representative in Parliament. I love Barbadians and Barbados, and I am passionately believing that the people in this constituency and across Barbados deserve better. I was born in Carringtons and immigrated to the UK in my early teens, but I always vowed to return home one day. While in the UK, I ran my own business, a consultancy delivering internet training and resources, and speaking and presenting at internet safety conferences internationally. I am asking for your vote to take this constituency and Barbados as a whole forward into 2018 and beyond. Thank you for listening. I am Alan Springer, Solutions Barbados candidate for St. Michael's South Central and the Shadow Minister for the Ministry of Culture and the Creative Arts.